Hello, I'm Nicolás Svirnovsky, immigration attorney. If you don't follow me yet, please follow my group on Facebook, which is Argentinian Citizenship and Residency, where you will find a lot of useful information for your residency and citizenship application process. Okay, today we are going to talk about different frequently asked questions that many of my clients have done around the time. So we're going to start with the first question, which says, is it the same to be a temporary resident than a transitory resident? When you are a transitory resident, it's because you hold a visa which is not as important or as strong as a temporary one. For example, a transitory visa could be an informal studies visa for 6 months or a year. What's the problem with a transitory visa? And here we have the main difference with a temporary visa. When you have a transitory visa, you won't be entitled to have an ID, the famous DNI or DNI in Spanish, okay? You won't be entitled to have a DNI, and at the same time, you won't be able to make the time you have this residency count if you want to apply eventually in the future for citizenship, okay? So keep this in mind. Being a transitory resident is not the same by any means, okay, by any means, to be a temporary resident, okay? Then we have a really frequently asked question which sometimes can be a little bit confusing, okay? And it says, what's an apostille? Well, usually an apostille is a seal coming from the government of your home country that will show internationally that your document is valid, okay? It is a seal or a stamp that says apostille, as the one I'm showing you here, that basically is used for the people in another country to know that your document is original and valid, okay? If your country is not a signatory member of the Apostille Convention, which is the treaty in which all the countries adopted the apostille mechanism, you will probably have to check the requirements for your specific country. Remember that for certain people applying from certain countries, especially in Africa or Asia, you need the documents to be legalized at the Argentinian consulate, okay? So keep in mind that and contact the consulates just in case. Then we have a really frequently asked question that is not only about migrations, but only about civil law, which says, if I marry my girlfriend that is Argentinian in order to apply for residency, how do I take care of my goods? Well, don't worry. The Civil Code establishes 2 regimes for getting married. The regime of the community, which is the traditional marriage, okay, in which the goods and the debts are shared within the couple, or the separation of goods regime, okay? So, if you take the separation of goods regime, you won't be sharing the property of your goods, neither the property or the ownership of your debts, okay? Sometimes this is really important in order to plan a marriage. And we really encourage the clients to check and have legal assistance at the moment of celebrating the marriage. Of course, if you choose the community regime, then it will have further requirements compared to the standard community regime, okay? But you have to keep in mind that you have these 2 options. Then we have another really frequently asked question which says, if my couple is from a South American country, am I entitled to have a Merosur residency? The answer is yes. If your partner comes from any South American country except from the French Guiana, and it's a signatory member of the Merosur Treaty of Residency, you will be entitled to have the same residency as your partner or spouse, okay? So, after your partner applies, you will be able to apply at the same time, okay, to have a similar residency. So, as the Merosur residency is issued for 2 years, you will also be issued a temporary residency valid for 2 years and with the possibility to renew. And as our last question, we have a really frequently asked one, which also is useful for people wanting to open an account and also for people that need to open an account as an essential requirement for their residency application, okay? So how do I open a bank account in Argentina? Well, you have to know that first of all you have to be patient, okay? Not all the banks will be willing to open an account for foreigners. But don't worry. If you go to banks, for example, like Banco Galicia, you will be able to open one account. But what are the steps to open the account? First, you must have already applied for residency, okay? And by that time, you should be a holder of the Precaria certificate. With the Precaria certificate, which is the previous certificate they give you before giving you a positive or negative answer about your application procedure, you will go to an office of a public agency called ANSES. After going to ANSES, in that place, you are going to ask for a provisory quit number. The quit number in Argentina is essential as it is like the social security number in the United States. After they issue this provisional number for you, you will go to the bank. Be sure you bring with you your passport, the Precaria certificate, and this quit certificate, the certificate that shows that you already have this number. In the bank, then, they will be able to open your account. So these are the essential steps for you to open it. Of course, you have to be patient and you have to check different banks, as many of them won't be willing to open the account. But remember that they must, and you will find a branch that will do it finally, okay? So I hope these questions were useful for you, and if you haven't followed my channel yet, please remember that you can contact me on Facebook. My name is Nicolás Svirnovsky Rivelis, or you can contact me through my group, which is called Argentinian Citizenship and Residency. I hope to see you soon in the next video, or maybe in a consultation.